Okay, we're live.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for showing up to this. It's my first time doing one of these live streams. I'm really excited to get to do the lottery in particular and then meet and greets and get to connect with you all. Sorry, it's been a bit crazy here. I think a lot of you guys follow me. We have it's nonstop where we have first day of school tomorrow. Yesterday, our kid got bit by some kind of bug and his foot swelled up and ran him to urgent care, but it turned out to be nothing. And all of that. So it's just like a zoo. But this was one of the highlights that I've been looking forward to all day, or all week. So thank you, and thank you guys so much, sincerely, for making Noctera such a big success. I mean, you never know when you do these things if they're gonna work out or if you're trying the right thing. But honestly, what we're trying to do with this campaign is, give a way of allowing you guys to connect to us, to connect to the making of the book, to get something personal and collectible, and to try and find a way of creating a bridge between us at a time when it's really, circumstances are just pushing us further apart. And secondarily, you funding the book really allows us to make sure that we can make it no matter what happens with COVID or the marketplace or any of that stuff. So it's a business model we really believe in. We wanted to try something new. As you know, it's already committed to Image Comics. So what you're going to get for your Kickstarter will never be sold. It's all exclusive to this, and it's something that's really special. But this allows us to take pressure off indie publishers like Image in terms of devoting any resources to us or anything like that should times get harder. So, and anything I make from it, just to reiterate, profit-wise, after the production of the book and the funding and the page rates and all that stuff, and we're already in that territory now, we'll go towards the next artist I'm working with, who we're going to announce soon. But as you've seen, I got a bunch of people lined up I'm excited about. Some of them did promos for us. Francis Manipal, Jock, and I can't remember if I've announced too many out, but you saw Francesco Francavilla and I teasing stuff for a while. So we have a really great roster, bunch more people, and all the books are meant to be things that kind of push me creatively, push my partners creatively. Some creators I'm working with are brand new, some are people I've worked with a long time, but everything hopefully will be surprising and exciting to you guys. And I'm very grateful for you helping me, start this new phase of my career. While I still have a foot in DC, I still have a couple things I'm really excited to do, but I really need to dedicate a lot of my energy this year and in the years coming, to creator owned. It's something I've been meaning to do for a while, and I gave myself like a 10-year plan where if I was lucky enough to still have a career at DC 10 years in, then after that, I would just make a commitment to doing more creator owned stuff myself. So thank you for making that a reality. And let me see. So what I'll do now, I have all the names. I cut them up like this so far, so it's almost like confetti. This was my brilliant plan. As I did this as my kids were shaving my head, doing my haircut monthly. So I think I did it okay. There's all 50 plus or 50 names here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it here, so then we get all of them as actual things. And then I couldn't find a bat cowl that my kids would allow me to use, so I'm using my Cthulhu mask that my kid, my 13-year-old, got when he was Cthulhu for Halloween a couple years ago. So I figured, right, my avatar for a long time was Bat Cthulhu on things, so I figured it's all in the same spirit, right? It's like a Cthulhu shark that my kid drew, and my favorite thing about this cup, why I made it, it's like there's a little boat being swallowed by this tentacle shark, and it says the people on the boat are saying, "Wow." That's says everything you need to know about my 9-year-old Emmett. So, all right, I'm gonna cut these up, and I'll do this. And as I'm doing it, I'm wondering, is there, if I don't know how this works, so forgive me for being a total idiot. But if people want to ask me questions or something through the YouTube, if anyone is watching that too, Camilla, and I'm happy to answer them while I'm doing this or anything. So, but if not, or as I'll watch the chat to see if anything's coming up, I'll tell you more about the book and our plans. So Tony and I became friends all the way back in 2010. Basically, I was on Detective Comics doing Black Mirror, and Tony was on Batman at the time. And they asked us to switch for the New 52. And I was like terrified because I wasn't even ready to write Detective when I wrote Detective. Like in my mind, I was like, here's 2/3 of them done. Let me see. Put them all in the thing. You know, Tony was already a big star. And so he was so nice about being encouraging to me and friendly to me about taking the mantle on Batman and not to worry about it and all that stuff. And I didn't know Greg Capullo. I didn't know like anyone, you know, I didn't even think it was going to be Bruce Wayne. I thought it was going to be Dick Grayson. I didn't know it was going to be #1. I didn't know it was going to be New 52. And then all that hit me and I was like, I have to quit. This is way too much pressure. I've only written like a handful of comic books. I thought if I ever got a chance to write Batman ever, it would be like long after I did a bunch of other characters. Batman was always my favorite, right? So imagine it's almost like if you got, you know, you got drafted and or you finally got into like, you know, the Major League Baseball, and the first game you ever played, they were like, you're pitching in the World Series, Game 7. That's how it felt. And I was just like, and Tony was just a really nice guy about kind of coaching me through it. And we just were friends since then and became friends like our families. And we kept talking about doing stuff together. We did a little bit of Batman and Robin Eternal. This is everything. I'm going to put it in this thing. You can see. Okay, so I got all the names, every single one. And then, so while we were doing that, we basically Batman and Robin Eternal, we were like, we got to do create our own at some point. And about 2 years ago, I pitched him this, a little under 2 years ago. And, you know, it was a personal series, the idea about just everlasting night falling over the earth. I've always been nervous about the dark when I was a kid, and my kids are too. They have like 8 night lights. I'll show you if you want. One is like a Death Star, one is like a rabbit, one is the Link sword from Zelda. It's like a whole like field of nightlights in each room. But I figured I pitched this to him, and he really responded. Our main character Val, he had a lot of input in designing her. He's got daughters, and he wanted to create a really good role model for them. And he drew upon some of his background for her background, and really love it. So it's been a great collaboration, and we can't wait for you guys to see it. It's like high octane horror. So the first question, Dan Fielder says, how long is the series planned for? It's planned for right now. We have 3 arcs planned out. So the goal with this really is to make it our like Undiscovered Country. You know, like Undiscovered Country is like 50 issues. You know, we're just going to keep rolling with it as long as you guys will buy it. And once it gets to a certain point, I don't know how like known this stuff is, but like indie books, you make significantly more royalties off those books than you do off of like DC and Marvel stuff. So if you can get the book going and you can get it up and running for a couple arcs, usually you can manage to keep it going for a while without falling into the red, because you're making enough off of the trades and the royalties and the kind of structure of payment that it can be self-perpetuating. But to get it up and running is quite hard. You know, I mean, like you do an indie book and you're doing essentially the first few months for free because you're just making it with your partner. You know, obviously you're not publishing it yet. And then when you publish it, you're usually publishing issue 1 when you're working on about issue 3. You usually start to get paid, you know, in terms of royalties, which is how you make your money, around issue 5. Like about when issue 3 is coming out is when you start to kind of make money off of it, which at that point you're probably working on issue 5 or 6. So you're really working on almost 6 months of material with nothing. So, you know, and I'm happy to do that. I'm able to do that. I've done it with Witches and a bunch of other things, AD and Severed and that. But the hard thing is when you start working, it's a lot to ask of artists, especially in this climate right now. So the fun is with this Kickstarter allowed me to put in a lockbox the money to pay Tony and Tomeo and the letterer and Will, the editor, and everybody for the first 6 issues, essentially. So we know that we have that first arc all locked up. And that's not because we're going to stop after the first arc. It's just because by that point, the book hopefully will be self-sufficient. And if it's not, you know, and you guys don't like the book or whatever, then you deal with it as you go. But I'm pretty confident that this one will be something you like. It's really fun, and it's got a big mythology. Nobody knows why the darkness fell and what the nature of it is, if it's supernatural or cosmic, and it's just a lot of fun. It's like trucks in the dark with monsters, and I love it. So yeah. What is there another question? Or should, oh, Don, I just spoke to Donnie the other day. I love Donnie. He's like a little brother, you know, not little, but you know what I mean? Like he's kind of came up after me, so I think of him that way. Meg's great. They're great. I can't say enough good things about him and the stuff he has planned. King in Black, like we trade stories. So the like crazy trade secret is like I told him about death metal. He told me a bit about King in Black, and he told me about Thor before he did it. I told him about Last Night on Earth. We talk like as friends, and what I can tell you is what he has coming up is awesome. And Crossover, which I've read, is really good. Him and Jeff are going to blow it out of the water. So yeah, go pick it up. I can't say enough good things about him. I have to also, you know what it makes me realize? Like I gotta give it in like a huge thumbs up to James Tynan right now, who I think is just on fire. Like I don't know how well known this is, but I met James when James was in college, and I was teaching writing at the college. This is long ago when I was like in my 20s, and he was in his, you know, whatever. Maybe he was like 20, and I was like, you know, my late 20s. So we've known each other forever. Known each other since, you know, like you know, before I had most of these kids. And James, we just stayed friends after he graduated because he was a really passionate writer. He loved comics, and I was breaking into comics soon after. I taught him before I was in comics. I was teaching comics and teaching fiction writing, and then when I broke in, he kept pitching me, and then we stayed friends, and then you know I've watched him grow. But to see him grow from talent like 10 years ago to now, to doing Something Is Killing the Children, Wind, wait till you read Department of Truth this month now. It's insane, from Image. And what Jorge and him are doing on Batman, I gotta say, Jorge's like my brother. I love Jorge to death. Handsomest man in all comics as well. That dude, the two of them are just killing it on Batman. That's out today. Go pick it up. They're great. He's like, James is my family, as is Greg Capullo, as is Raphael, and Jock and Francesco and those guys, and Francis. So, you know, that's part of the goal with Best Jacket, is to work with people that I'm close with, but then also bring in brand new people I admire. So you'll see some artists coming up. We're definitely announcing some in the next week or so in the campaign, because some of them have done stuff for the campaign that we're hoping to make enough to be able to give to you as rewards. But some of the people I've worked with a tiny bit, some I've never worked with, but they're also pillars of it, like that, like Jock. I'm doing a new book with at Best Jacket. Francis, I'm doing one. Francesco, Raphael. I don't know how much I'm supposed to say, but the goal with Best Jacket is to be able to do the books as I want and match them with the right publisher or publishing format. I might do one that's more prose. The one with Jock has more prose. Like we might do that with like a book publisher, or we might do it with, you know, a traditional comic publisher. So all of it is to be able to make the most, you know, exciting books we can. All right. So the next question. Oh wait, I missed the question. Did I answer it? Oh yeah, I just said it. That's right. So, okay. How do you feel that a publisher doing Kickstarter, not the creator, a big growing publisher too? Well, you know, I don't know. I'm not sure. I remember people being upset when like Archie was doing it and that stuff. But the thing I'd say is like, it's hard because this is my very first Kickstarter, so I don't have a lot of familiarity with like what it would mean for a publisher to do that in terms of you know, the impact on the direct market or those kinds of things. You know, for us, what I can say is like the reason that I think Kickstarter is like going crazy right now with so many projects that are really exciting by different creators, from Cosmic Detective, which I was, you know, backing and hugely excited to see, by my good buddy Jeff, who's this is by Jeff right here, from when we did After Death, to stuff by other friends, you know, Charles Sewell, all that stuff, is because Kickstarter, what's interesting is that with corporate comics going through these like weather pattern changes, and, you know, it's scary right now. It's scary. there are a lot of changes that I think are exciting, honestly. But the way that it's happening and some of the people that are getting their jobs cut, really devastating and crushing. You know, everybody who loses their job is crushing. But I mean, there's some people who you just don't understand, like Mark Doyle, Andy Curry, and some of those guys who were working in Black Label, whose department was just amazing. And so right now it's just a spooky time because comics is changing. The hope is that some of the prescriptive plans that people like Marie, who I think is amazing, and I was like my closest, partner at DC for years now, for quite a, 2-3 years, have for the company are exciting, and I think will maximize, the way we appeal to the direct market, the way we appeal to digital, to YA, all of it, but really in healthy ways. But I think that there's a big question of like whether or not the parent companies are going to be responsive to that, if they're going to be really uninterested. But I think the hope is that they're really responsive and that we make comics more nimble and stronger and get a really healthy direct market and everything else on the other side. So, but Kickstarter right now, I think, is something that people gravitate towards, like me and other creators that hadn't thought of it before, because it allows for a direct connection with the fans. It allows for me to interact with you guys like this, but also I answer the backer questions. It gives me a way of feeling connected. It gives me a way also of reacting to what you want. Like if you want meet and greets, I'll do them. I'll do more. If you guys want another lithograph, we can do it in the time, we'll do it. I mean, like, so that kind of interactivity is something that's really missing, especially at a moment when there's so many high-level corporate changes going on that it's not, you're trying to get things through that you believe in, like death metal and the project I have after it. And I can tell you death metal is really I love it. Like the ending is a love letter to this era of DC Comics and all of it. But Kickstarter gives you a different level of interactivity and being able to kind of, connect directly with you guys and answer questions and feel a part of the community, whereas working right now in corporate comics, you still can, but it's more like it's so volatile that, you're reacting to kind of things that are happening above you as opposed to just having only to worry about things on your level with fans and that stuff. So I wouldn't fault any publisher for doing it, especially in these rough times when there's, worries about distribution and retailers and all of that. Like, so I don't know. I mean, but I'm not versed enough in it to know if there are real reasons why it would be damaging. All I can tell you is that with our campaign, the goal was to strengthen the direct market by funding a book that will come out in the direct market with a strong footprint. I mean, it's a big action-packed, high-octane horror book. So we're hoping it sells really well. We're going to do the variant covers based on the promos. We're going to, keep it going for many issues. And on top of that, we have a retailer tier through our campaign where they can get it basically at cost. It has a different dust jacket than the one that you guys order, and it's unsigned. But they can get it and sell it themselves, and 10% of those proceeds go to BINC, which helps retailers. So our goal is to try and create something that works with the whole ecosystem right now. And all I can tell you about publishers and Kickstarter is that I think everybody's looking for ways of innovating and working on the vanguard to try and make the industry stronger. I don't think unless people are doing it in bad faith, I think that the goal with all of this stuff is to find methods that allow everybody to thrive. And that's what we're doing here. I mean, none of it is a price gouge. We're all, like I said, the money for me goes to the next book. And for Tony goes to page rate. So, all right. Is it difficult balancing family and writing these awesome? Yes, it is. It is always difficult. It never is easy. I will tell you that up front. Like I am like watching the house to make sure it's not burning down as my 13-year-old watches the 9-year-old. And my wife has the baby out at the doctor for his year plus checkup. So it is always that way. I like walked in here from getting my hair cut by my kids and that. So yes, it is a balance. But what I'll tell you is like family, family to me, I love being a dad, and I love my wife. I have the best wife. She's awesome. She's, she was the person that believed in me when I was first starting out. And I said to her when we got married, I was like, I don't think I'll ever make any money, but I love what I do. And I've really worked hard. It's all I've wanted to do, and I've struggled to be good at it, and to learn, to go to school for it, to take classes for it, to study it whenever I could, and I had, crappy jobs and didn't take jobs that would interfere with my writing, that I always saw as my real thing. My wife always was there. And when we really had trouble with it and we were really in the red, she took out loans against her for med school stuff to help me not have to switch careers. This is back, 15 years ago, more than that. So anyway, family is more important than anything, but it allows you to, for me at least, tell stories that I feel are personal and I care about and be proud of them. So how difficult was it to world build for this story? It was fun. I mean, it really is like, it's a world that's collapsed. I mean, the biggest world build fun for it, honestly, is that the dark changes everything. That every living thing that's in it, it turns like monstrous as it goes. So you have like the designs is the world building fun. It's crazy interesting for Tony, where it's like all down to plants start to mutate. They're not like sentient, crazy Audrey 2 things, but they twist and they turn and they start to become more menacing. And so fish, mammals, everything turns predatory and ugly. So the world building has been huge fun to see Tony just, let his imagination go crazy. And the other aspect that's really fun with the world building is the towns, the outposts, and the character designs, because the characters essentially, they have to stay in the light to avoid turning into these things. And so their suits are all customized with like if you don't have a lot of resources, you might have a suit that has like light bulbs hanging from different parts of it, or candles or whatever, torches. And then if you're really high end, like a mercenary, you might have a suit that's all LED and, Tron and that kind of looking thing. So it's really fun. It's fun in that regard because it gives you this whole kind of range of character design that Tony is really thriving at. And my kids love it because they're like, it looks like Fortnite. And I was like, wait, what? And then they were like, oh, it's all the different costumes. So anyway, is Best Jacket Press going to be books exclusively written by you? Oh, that's a great question. So right now it is, like, only because I got to get it up and running. You know what I mean? Like, so it's the goal is to do these books that I've been planning to do for a long time. And then I do have some interest from people that could help me fund it to the degree that I'd be able to help put out books by other people. So that's the real goal. I mean, that's my dream. My dream would be to be able to do books that, push me creatively and that I can do. And then ultimately also do what I was doing with the writing workshop, or I was trying to do with the writing workshop, even when the environment was difficult and we couldn't find enough jobs for people on the other side of it, which was really frustrating for everybody at DC too, was trying to usher in new voices, trying to be a part of that, be part of the new wave of people coming in, if only to cheer them on. So that's my goal. I mean, I hope so, hopefully in a year I'll be able to come back and say, look at all these cool books coming out. What was my favorite part about writing Metalverse? I mean, working with Greg is my favorite part, and John and FCO, we go back so far. There was a lot of difficulty working in the Metalverse this time in terms of plans at DC, not because we weren't supportive, but just because there were so many changes, changes with, to be blunt, with people leaving, like Dan. Before that, plans that some of the plans around 5G that sort of took things in a direction we weren't sure how to connect to, all kinds of stuff. So working in it, like getting it through, like getting what we wanted to do through, was hard, except for the advocacy of like our partners there, like Marie, who's amazing, Andrew Marino, and all that. But working on it itself, I love this story, honestly, on my kids. Like this death metal story, where it heads and what it says and the way to me, it's kind of the perfect one to sort of go out on, even if we stay a little bit and do stuff more like a Three Jokers style on the side a bit. It says everything I kind of want to say, and it's just, no one else could do it except me and Greg, for better or worse. You might hate it, but it's so us, unvarnished, and I love the ending. It's like armies of Lobos and the Hall of Doom and all kinds of multiverse of evil, and it's really fun. So that's my favorite part, though, is getting to talk to Greg every day. Do you ever plan to start a new series and eventually pass it to a new writer, or do you prefer to hand? I've never thought of doing that. I mean, creator owned is really personal. I mean, so is superheroes, but you always know you're kind of going to pass that torch to somebody else. I mean, I think the way I think of superheroes is that it's almost like a sports team, you know, where people root for that team. Like, you know, I have teams here, local teams, everything that I love. But the years that people come in and really make them exciting are the years you invest more. The team is always bigger and more important than the creators, you know, or than the players now here, the creators in comics. But working on a superhero that you love that means so much to so many people is such an honor, like being on a team with this storied history. But the team is also kind of empty sometimes without really good players, you know? So that aspect is really like handing those over. You always know you're going to, and that's part of it. And putting the toys back in the box. But creator owned is more like you're asking readers to do the opposite. You know, like it's almost like if working on a superhero is like you guys already love the whole world and you love the characters, and you're just asking us not to fuck it up and come in and do something to do something inspiring with it. Us doing our own stuff is asking you to take a leap of faith with us, where we're going to build a totally new world. It's an inversion of the model for superheroes, right? Where we're going to build something new together that you might hate, you have no investment in, in that, but we're asking you to build it with us in that. So giving that to somebody else is a hard thing to imagine. I certainly like to invite other people into play in the worlds we create, like American Vampire doing anthologies and that. But I don't think I'd hand off a series to anybody else. I can't imagine myself doing that. What is a character that you have not used but still want to? Oh, there are too many. I mean, at DC, there's plenty. There's, I mean, I guess I'm using Wonder Woman now, but there are a lot. The JSA, I really want to use more. I really want to go back. I have a Nightwing story that I've mentioned a couple times. It's called Parabola, that I really want to do. And Marvel, there's a ton. I mean, Marvel, one day, like I would love to go over and do Wolverine and Hulk and Ghost Rider. Captain America's probably my top. So there are a bunch. I have stories for a bunch of them. Do you write full scripts for Tony? That's a great question because that's in this book. So I do write. So the reason I don't give away my scripts generally, and then I'll do this lottery too. I feel bad. Unless you guys want me to keep going, I'll keep talking for another 10 minutes. But I also don't want to. I don't want to like. This isn't like a suspense technique. I get to talk so rarely, not to children, that I'm like, blah, blah, blah. But one of the reasons I haven't given away a lot of my scripts is because I didn't want to give the impression to people that there's a template that I use or a format that I use, because one of the most valuable lessons I learned in my whole career, I learned with Greg very early in our Batman run, when he was asking me to change my style to give him more room and not write full script so that he could experiment. And I finally did do that on issue 5, the one that like spins around in the Court of Owls, which was, a revelatory issue for us. And it made me realize that the best way to work with artists in comics is to adapt your style to their style and see what they want. So Tony likes a hybrid. So it is pretty full script, but it's not numbered panels. And for those like that don't know like what full script versus Marvel style is, I did a video on it on this YouTube channel that every once in a blue moon I use for craft stuff, pretty much only, or promotional stuff. But it's Marvel style or like not full script. Like here's 2 scenes, right? So let's say I'm doing a scene where Batman is chasing the Batman Who Laughs across the rooftops of Gotham, and it's a scenario where the Batman Who Laughs has done something awful to Commissioner Gordon, right? And Batman needs to know what it is. I'm just like riffing. Full script is, Marvel style is this, that you always give the emotional aspect of the scene. You give what the purpose of the scene is. You give what the tone is. You give all of that. So I'd be like, Greg, because Greg likes Marvel style. I'd be like, so this scene is all about the dread Batman feels about not knowing what's happened to Commissioner Gordon, even though he found what seems like Commissioner Gordon's skull and the DNA tested out to be his skull by the bat signal on the GCPD roof. So the feeling should be absolute desperation and dread. He's chasing the Batman Who Laughs across the rooftops of Gotham. It's lightning, it's raining, all that stuff. And the Batman Who Laughs is gleeful and athletic. He seems to be like in full control and taunting Batman as they go. So for 2 pages, we want this until Batman finally catches him at the end of page 3, because page 3, 1 is always a single page, 2, 3 is always the spread, and then 4 is the reveal. So when he reveals and he turns to page 4, he finds him, and he has him over the roof, and he says, "Where is he?" And he says he's dead, but I can bring him back, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, that's terrible, but whatever. Full script would be like panel 1, boots running across the rooftop of Gotham. And you still give the feeling and all that stuff and everything that it should be dreadful, whatever. Panel 2, similar boots running across the rooftop just behind. One is the first is the Batman you laugh, second is Batman. We're trying to show that they're mirrors of each other by showing their boots and blah, blah, blah. Panel 3, we pull back to see Batman looking tense, scarred up, whatever, terrified of what he's going to find. We narrate blah, 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 blah. That's the difference. So for Tony likes a bit of a hybrid of those. So it's kind of an interesting format where it's more like, I'd be like, Tony, so for this page, give the description. And then I'd be like, first couple panels, I just want to raise the tension. So, we see first, let's go close on the feet running. But then as we pull back, we see the scene, we feel the thing. And for dialogue, for narration, I'm going to say something like this, and without giving the specifics. So it's in between. So it gives you a sense, I think, when you read our edition, how he changed it, what he responded to, what he did differently than what I was thinking, where he kind of found new things in the space in between the script and the art. So yeah. Do you want me to keep going with this, or also I can just do the names thing, get out of here too if you want. I don't want people to feel like I'm wasting their time.
Oh wait, I'm just gonna interrupt for a second. Can we let's do the lottery and then we'll go back to the AMA stuff, because I think a lot of people are eager for the results.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Then we'll go back to Q&A. No problem.
All right, I'm really doing it. Okay, so the first person I picked is Michael Caprista. Okay, I got that. All right, so I'm going through it. Second person is Joshua Cowden. Third person.
Sorry, just make sure you don't show their emails on the stream.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, my bad.
Sorry.
The third person is Kyle Gorelli. I will not show your emails to the world anymore. My bad. Fourth person, let me cover the email. Mark Underwood. Wait, this hand, there. Fifth person, Ian Puerta. Okay. Right. Sixth person, stuck. Marcelo Cover. Seven. Joseph Behun. Forgive me if I'm butchering your guys' names. I apologize. Wait, is this 8? This is 8, right? I'm terrible at counting. All right. Nick Zeman. Wait. I did the wrong thing. Sorry. I can't see in reverse. I'm not good at this. Is this stuck? Barry Kennedy. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 3 more, right? All right, and then we'll do more of these. So don't worry if you don't get picked. I like doing them. Okay. I dropped it. Okay, what is it? It is Austin Grismore. And then Derek Spear. And then this is it, right? and West Passeur. All right, I'm really excited to meet you guys, and I think we're doing it tomorrow, or well, whenever it is, I'll be there. I'm excited to do it, so we'll have fun, and yeah, and we'll do more of them. So if you missed out, I'm really sorry, but I wish I could meet everybody, but I promise I will try my best to do it. And yeah, we'll do more, and I'll do more. And if you like these AMAs, if you want, I'm happy to do more of them in general for backers. It's totally fine with me. So I'll answer one more, and then I'm gonna run, and I'll go check on the kids. So what kind of creatures can we expect from this new book? The whole fun of it is that they're these really twisted kind of demonic mutations. So the way I described them to Tony, not to give too much away, is almost like, imagine the bones in your back and the bones, like your femur and your whatever, the bones in your arm. My wife would kill me, she's a doctor, and I don't know any of this. Like they stretch and they pull the skin, so it's really creepy. Like the skull, the thing comes out, the jaw comes out, and the skull goes back, and the eyes, and then the skin blackens and turns rotten, like charcoal, almost like it's charred, like burnt, because it's burnt by it becomes burnt by even the smallest amount of light, so the moonlight and all that, so they look all charred. But every different creature turns into sort of a different shade, which is what they're called. So like, but humans, nobody lives to talk about what happens to humans. So people don't really know what humans look like, because they stay far away. And then if anyone comes across them on the roads, they never make it back. So part of the fun is hiding the design of what people look like till towards the end of the first arc, where you'll see a lot of them. Great. All right. Well, listen, guys, I really appreciate it, you guys. If any suggestions on what you want more of, less of, just let me know. And I can't wait to do it again. Take care.